This video is about reading people's comments, in specific, two of the places that I stayed after Natalie was killed. Now, most of these people are very pampered, and Rick McCormack is extremely lucky that Christine Buhit died. However, getting a court order to open that up, well, it's a possibility. It shows a lot of the BS that I had to go through. Most of it I have to take off of my main Facebook account. I don't mean like remove it. I mean I have to go to my main Facebook account and show the stuff just from that. Christine Buhit is another addict. We're going to get to reading this. 21 comments. It says sort by. And it says top comments or newest first. If you go to newest first, that definitely is a good start, because that'll allow you to see nearly all of it. Now, the name of this is Brett Rohloff, aka Moose, and there's 188 views. So we'll go to I guess we'll start at the top. This is me from 5 hours ago. It says Brett, but that's at least what it says. That doesn't mean that I posted it 5 hours ago. It should, but it's not always correct. I typed Brett Rohloff wanted to get in a Facebook group chat and pretend I was typing to him last night. Obviously, I'm not interested in arguing. I'm trying to get help stopping the abuse. Rick McCormack, Brett Rohloff, and many others wanted to be angry because I was honest. You ever tried doing your taxes while people are screaming in the background? I have PTSD, and having to stay with addicts is a definite trigger. You can't say that say anything about an addict's drug use or they target you. At Shannon's, Rick was her target. She always wanted to drag me into her drunken arguments with Rick. Nope, not playing that game. And that's, well, a woman's trick. That's things that women tend to do. And women tend to get away with. And if I do it, I'm acting like a woman. Well, how very sexist of you. See, it's not a matter of women are inherently this way. It's a matter of women are trained this way. Just like every woman in America is taught to cry when she gets pulled over so she can get out of a ticket. And many of the women I know admit that works. It does work. Oh, poor me, poor me. Alright. Well, that doesn't work for a dude. Dudes aren't supposed to cry. Cops also generally approach women differently. Rick McCormack typed, I tried ignoring you for 3 years, hoping you would just go away. Yet here you are, still spitting one lie after another about us on the internet after you showed up to our home uninvited and we helped you. Oh no, it wasn't uninvited. Shannon Alvarado very specifically was pushing me to go to California. So I did. It says, we have young children. We have nonverbal autistic family member. That's right, a nonverbal autistic family member that Shannon Alvarado blames for her horrible actions. It says 5 people and 4 pets living in a 2-bedroom home. That's right. And when I first got there, one of those bedrooms could not even open the door. Imagine that. That's because Shannon Alvarado is a pack rat. She says that she can't clean the stuff because of her autistic daughter. But in reality, it's because she's just an uncleanly person. Not my fault. Now, with all of my stuff, most of my paper evidence is not here. However, I got a small stack here. Obviously, I'm looking at the screen while I'm speaking, so out of the massive pile we went through, this is what we currently have. Now, when you are male and disabled, you need someone who is actually there for you, actually there in your corner. An alcoholic ain't gonna do it. Now, all of these people are people that I could literally make hundreds of videos about the good things that they did. Matter of fact, I already have. I spoke about the good things that they did. I also spoke out about the situations that I was stuck in because they were dishonest and misled the situation, like Mr. McCormack here. And it says, let's see, yes, it gets noisy. When you were here, Shannon and I were going through a very stressful time. That's allowed. It says we had a lot of weight on our shoulders. That's allowed. It says we were also adjusting to taking our relationship to the next level by living together. Actually, she promised to pay him, and then she didn't pay him, so he ended up having to live with her. And then it says, adding to the chaos, you showed up. Well, I was invited many times. So, that's a good thing, is it not? Somebody offered to help me if I showed up, and then I showed up. It says, between clogging the toilet and leaving it for me to unclog, well, could he have not, I don't know, asked me to unclog it? There were 3 different times that I remember him bitching about the toilet being clogged, and Shannon thought that her daughter was throwing stuff in the toilet, possibly, but that's neither here or there. It says, piling up dissected cigarette butts in the room we let you stay in. Well, they weren't piled up in that room. They were put in a butt can that was outside, and of course, that got knocked over and made a big old mess. And of course, I spent a lot of time cleaning it up. But, let's say that part is true. Piles of it. Alright. That would suck, wouldn't it? It says, piling up dissected cigarette butts in the room we let you stay in. Now, let me show you about the dissecting a cigarette butt. Obviously, I am not going to smoke a cigarette in the hotel room. I don't know if it's smoking or non-smoking, but I just assume they're all non-smoking. Alright, this may take a minute. Yeah, we haven't even got through one of Rick McCormack's comments, have we? Sorry about this. It's an OCD thing. A lot of y'all are completely ignorant of what OCD is. You think obsessive compulsive disorder means that somebody is a stalker. They're obsessed. That's because you are uneducated, and then you make your decisions based on your ignorance. Not my fault. People keep telling me I gotta do these things myself. All of these people who have family members who do not have these disabilities want to tell me how great it is in this country, how easy it is. You know what? For the Martindales, if they want to make a police report, it is pretty easy. They live in a nice house right on Main Street. It is a very nice house. It's a brick house. And Rick, being as he went to CU, that's Colorado University, For construction engineering, he does know his stuff pretty good. Now, a lot of the stuff on his house is falling apart now. Stuff that he just made a few years ago. But that tends to happen. Now on his front porch, for example, he should have used a little bit different mix, and he should have put some fiberglass in it to prevent it from falling apart and cracking the way that it did. Also, he made the lip on the overhang a little bit too long, so it's more prone to cracking. Now, of course, I fold that up all nice and neat, and then I take my cigarette butt, or my cigarette, pull it out, and I tear out the back end. The reason I do this is because, well, nearly a decade ago, I had all of my teeth yanked out. 0 teeth. When they yanked out my teeth, I didn't want to get dry socket. Everyone was warning me about dry socket and how it's worse than tooth pain. Well, after 5 years of tooth pain, I didn't want dry socket. So tearing the back end out made it easier to smoke it. And I've been smoking it that way ever since. Now, of course, you end up with this and this. Where do I put those? Usually in my pocket until I find a garbage can. And what I'm left with is this. Now, I've had people say, oh, that means you're on heroin. No, it doesn't. No, it fucking doesn't. Now we'll get back to this. And screaming right in front of our kids about how you wanted to kill yourself. I wasn't screaming, but yeah, I did want to kill myself. It was hell being there. I mean, here I am. There's this woman who promised me if I go there that she's going to help me. And of course, there's Graham who's going to send me my evidence. Now it says, you significantly contributed to the stress and chaos our house was going through at the time. Well, how many times did I have that issue? Once. One day, the whole time I was there. And it was over the non-stop chaos that was there. And Shannon constantly getting drunk instead of actually helping, and talking non-stop because she was drunk. It says, you significantly contributed to the stress and chaos our house was going through at the time. I can absolutely admit to that. I tried to hide out in the room and ignore them as much as possible. He also types, as far as drugs and drinking, you've wildly exaggerated that like everything else you say about the people who have helped you. Nope. See, that's the thing. Are these people going to admit it? No, they're not. And that's much of the issue with having to record it. Like, of course, when I went to Brett Rohloffs, I had the ability to record it, and I absolutely fucking did. With Rick's and Shannon's, well, I was nicer to them. I kept on hoping, but if I could record my life 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, I absolutely would. Well, let's get to more of this. It says, you're not the only who has made false accusations against us. They're not false accusations. See, that's the point. I've had to deal with a lot of false accusations. Now, if there's something in here that's true, I'll admit to it, no problem. Now, him saying that I was piling up cigarette butts in the room they let me stay in, and mind you, I saw the room when I went back the second time, and it was very clean. They did an excellent job of cleaning it, and of course, it's the kids' room now. When I first went there, you couldn't call it the kids' room. There was too much trash in there, and I took out several trash bags full of alcohol bottles. It says, I won't go into details here, but these accusations were made formally, and we proved they weren't true in more official and credible institution than a crazy bearded homeless man ranting on YouTube. That's right. Try calling someone crazy, automatically you've discredited them. Try to play on the homeless part especially, because most people in America have bias against the homeless. We must all be drug addicts. We must all be thieves. We must all be rapists, and so on and so forth. Anyway, so I'll continue reading. It says, so in your subjective opinion, our house was way too noisy. No, Shannon was way too noisy. See, if you've got somebody who is yelling until often 4 o'clock in the morning, it's very difficult to deal with. It makes it very difficult to get things done. Now, Shannon claimed that she understood autism, and if she understood autism, she would have understood that it is her screaming that is the reason that her daughter is going off. Now, just because I am high-functioning autistic doesn't mean that I don't still need support. Obviously, I've called all of these different places and all of these different agencies that are supposed to do something, and they're not doing it. Anyway, we'll get back to what he typed. He typed, Shannon and I argued too much, and in your opinion, Shannon drank too much. Oh no, she definitely drank too much. There ain't no doubt about that. You cannot drink that much wine every night and consider yourself a functional human being. Now, she is a functional alcoholic as far as she makes sure that during the day she's not drunk. She wants to drink the whole day, but she has to make sure that until her daughter is back from her special school, that Shannon is not drunk, just in case something happens and she has to go to the school. So, I mean, she is able to control her alcoholism that much, and that, kudos, absolutely. Now he also types, how does any of that give you license to lie about us and abuse us on the internet? Well, what lies? Shannon's alcoholism is not a lie. I'm still trying to figure out what part is supposed to be a lie, and I'm still waiting on proof that it's a lie, and obviously that doesn't exist. Now, I have videos with Shannon and videos with Rick on this YouTube channel, so it's not like I'm hiding anything. It says, I'm sorry our home didn't meet 100% of your criteria. Oh, nobody's home is going to. That's the problem with being in a subservient position. See, when you live with somebody who is an alcoholic and it is their place, you have to take the abuse. People say, why don't you just leave? I did. And of course, there's just a little bit of stuff on the bed over there that is some of my evidence, because I have to worry about it getting stolen again. But, of course, I do have it. Let's see. I'm sorry our home didn't meet 100% of your criteria. Now, obviously, that is sarcasm. It says, I guess we should have put you in a 5-star hotel instead. No, how about just not get drunk every fucking night? And that's the thing about having someone actually in your corner who actually cares about you, who is actually there for you. In each and every one of these situations, I'm going into strangers' houses. I mean, I didn't know Shannon Alvarado from Adam anything. The only reason I was there is because of safety issues in Colorado. I needed a safe place where I could sit down and actually work on this stuff. And Shannon Alvarado had invited me so many times, Sean, if you were here, Sean, you should come to California. Oh, all right, I'll go to California. That didn't work out too good. Now, Shannon Alvarado did continue to help me even after I left, and of course, there gets a point where you have to cut your losses, where you have to stop believing that somebody who is an addict is ever going to stop. It says, Rick typed, what were we thinking? Won't you ever forgive us for not being a super quiet, leave it to Beaver family? See there, more sarcasm. He just wants to be a douchebag. On the bright side, I'm a douchebag too. It says, I'm so sorry we make sounds and have our own problems like normal people. See, normal. Making sounds. Making sounds is okay. You are absolutely allowed to make sounds. There is nothing wrong with making sounds. Now, when you're screaming for hours a night, that is a very, very big issue. There's a big difference between screaming and, of course, opening and closing the door, opening and closing the fridge, having actual conversations, and having a conversational tone. Shannon's capable of that. During the daytime, she was a functional human being. She was capable of having decent conversations. She's still ADOS'd a little bit. ADOS is attention deficit. Oh, squirrel! But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they really did do. They really were helpful with. But there's also the fact that really I should not trust anyone. I should record every single situation. And it just takes a lot to be able to do that. It says, he typed, we should have been one-dimensional cardboard cutouts that exist only to meet every single one of your needs and never offending a single one of your thousands of eccentric pet peeves. No. See, that's the thing about understanding autism and also understanding PTSD. Obviously, if someone is screaming, I'm not going to be able to get anything done. Try doing your taxes with Shannon Alvarado screaming at you. Try doing your taxes with Brett Rohloff and his girlfriend screaming at each other. It just doesn't work. He also types, our home wasn't tailor-made for Sean, therefore we have to endure 3 years of bootleg Rasputin talking crap about us every chance he gets. It's not crap. People love that I tell the truth until I tell the truth about them. Then again, they had every opportunity to be honest with me and about me, and they chose not to be. It also says, you've betrayed everyone who has ever helped you, but I'm sure the people who are helping you now will be the one exception. Prove me wrong and leave these people in peace once you're done using them. Isn't that lovely? Here's the thing about Mandy. Mandy admits that the first time that I was reaching out to her for help, she admits that she was on drugs. Admits it. That's the difference between Shannon Alvarado and, of course, Mandy. Not Mandy Hughes, Mandy Singer. Now, humanity is basically people using each other. And whether you're doing it to be harmful or not, that's the big issue. Now, when somebody says, hey, come to my house, and you go to their house, you are using their house. If they've asked you to do so, you're not doing anything wrong by going there. Now, given the situation, it was a surprise to Miss Shannon when I showed up. I let her know when I was out of Colorado that I was on the way to her house for safety issues. Let's see. We'll go to Brett Rohloff, 21 hours ago. He types, you're delusional if you think we need you for anything or used you as a pawn for our head games. Sean, you are the reason we fought most of the time. Ah, yes. Must be my fault. No. They fought over a bunch of stuff, mostly math. And then, of course, when one or the other was not getting the upper hand, they would try to use me as a pawn. Well, Sean this and Sean that. Well, you did this to Sean and you said that to Sean. And, most of the stuff that they claimed that they said the other one said to me they actually did. So I mean, their arguments about that were justified. They were actually things that happened. I mean, when Brett was complaining about there's a situation. Actually, I'll just post up the video in the link. It says, between keeping your weed habit satisfied and ours, plus household responsibilities, car, gas, bills, food, etc., that you never helped with or ever cleaned anything, it was stressful. Actually, I spent a lot of time cleaning there. Not running the vacuum, mind you, but I did clean up a lot. I kind of had to. Now, everybody that was at that household pretty well kept their dishes clean. They did pile up a time or two, but I was washing I set aside a cup and some silverware and a plate and a bowl to use. So, I mean, as soon as I get done using it, I wash it, or I at least rinse it and set it aside to use again. It says, or he typed, to say the least. So forgive me if your fragile ears couldn't handle me and her fighting, which was the cause. You were the cause. Really? Are you sure it isn't because she was a friggin' psycho? Or because you were both using methamphetamines? I typed, thank you for verifying the 3 things I didn't have a conversation or proof of. Keeping their weed satisfied, that was a major issue. Mixing up uppers and downers is probably not a good idea. It's probably not a good idea to smoke weed and do meth at the same time, but yeah. Now, I did trade my bow while I was there in Virginia for pot from Brett. Obviously, not something I'm hiding. Let's see. Brett Rohloff types, confessions of what? Why the fuck is what I do or say of any importance to you? Well, that's the thing, Brett. He wanted to, well, right here. Why is it of any importance to me? Well, the truth is important. If I hadn't been there, I wouldn't have known the drugs that he was on. I wouldn't have seen the situation that he was in, and I wouldn't be able to say anything about it. Now, would I? But he did invite me, and I did go. And it is important because it shows that I was telling the truth. It was a stressful situation. The day I got there, his girlfriend lost her job. Now, is that my fault? No. Now, if I had been showing up to her work and being an asshat at work and she got fired because of it, that would be very different. But I literally met her coming out of her work because she'd been fired. It says, why fucking why? Leave my name out and off your bullshit. I want no part of it. God if damn, you're pissing me off. No, his thoughts, feelings, and opinions are entirely his. He's pissed off because the truth is out there, because I literally recorded those things that I said I did. Rick McCormack types, we helped Sean and got stabbed in the back too. No. They didn't get stabbed in the back. I told the truth. That's not stabbing someone in the back. He types, you're not alone, Brett. I know exactly how you feel right now. This happens to everyone who helps this piece of shit. Lovely. On the bright side, I think Rick's a piece of shit too. He types, it's going to happen to everyone who is helping him now or recently. This is who he is. He's the perpetual victim of anyone who ever showed him compassion. And that is not true. Now, between attacking me here and telling the truth, which they should have done to begin with, been honest and straightforward right from the start, not capable, are they? I typed to Rick McCormack, it says 14 hours ago, compassion is one thing, drunken screaming is another. I have a big list of alcoholics and drug dealers and addicts that I stayed with. I was thankful for many things, but addicts' brains don't work right. I finally found sober assistance, and it has made all the difference in the world. Miss Mandy is actually looking at evidence with me. She also cannot be embarrassed by her secrets, because she done admitted to them, and understands homelessness, addiction, Boulder, many of those involved, and doesn't get drunk or messed up on drugs. I'm going to pause this for a moment. Alright, we're back to recording. I also typed Rick McCormack. Also, I hit the thumbs up button, the thumbs up and love button on your comment. I also sent him a link, I believe, to him screaming. Brett Roloff 6 hours ago. Now, mind you, Brett Roloff, while I was typing to somebody in a group that we're in, he wanted to type something. I don't want to say something to the effect of, I'm going to read the actual comment. So, since he left the group, he's not going to be able to delete his comment, which is totally perfect. Unfortunately, we're waiting for it to load up. There we go. Yes. Absolutely. Let's see. Here it is. He typed to me. I'll scroll up. Alright. Oh, I scrolled up too far. Let's see. I typed to the other lady that was in here. As much as renting the camper would please me, it's unsafe for me in Chapel. I'm grateful for the offer. If I'm not there, DaCosta can't use the threat of CPS against, well, her baby's daddy, obviously. Brett Roloff types, leave me the fuck alone, stop harassing me for the last time, or I will take actions to ensure you do. Now, this is after obviously being threatening towards me, and obviously I'm not harassing him, I'm not typing anything to him, and he's wanting to take actions against me. This after an actual, what they call an open threat. I don't leave my threats open. It says, let's see. Now, obviously, I've stopped typing to him already. I'm already finished with Brett Roloff at this point. And this was Tuesday at 9:37 p.m., which is well past 6 hours ago. And while he wants to pretend that because I was typing to someone else that I'm harassing him, he's just being a filthy goddamn snatch rag. I typed, obviously, this ain't the place to type anymore, well, the lady's name. And then, of course, Brett Roloff did leave the group, which is good. Now here, 6 hours ago, after telling me to leave him alone and not harass him and so on and so forth, about a message that is obviously not for him. Obviously he doesn't live in Chapel, Nebraska. Obviously North Carolina is not Chapel, Nebraska. And he wants to type at me 6 hours ago. He types, what you fail to understand, Sean, is what someone does in their own house is their business. No, it's not. That right there, no, if you shoot somebody in your own house, well, yeah, that is your business, but it's also our business as a measure of safety. If you're selling drugs in your house, well, it is our business as a measure of safety. You type, and if someone is nice enough to open their home to you, you don't, or decent people don't, exploit them for your own gain or any reason. Meanwhile, he exploited the shit out of me for his own gain. Now, what sucks is, during this period, there are people who are paying for me to do all of this traveling to all of these places. People like Brandon Ratner. Now, Brandon Ratner, he's an idiot, but he tries to be a good man. Unfortunately, whether or not he's going to actually help you is highly dependent upon your gender and your attractiveness. And that's a big issue with me. That is perpetuating rape society, and I'll tell you why in a later video. It says, point blank, period, no debate. You apparently are a repeat offender and have such little regard for others, regardless of what you say. Your actions say different. My actions show that while I was in these places, obviously being at Rick McCormack and Shannon Alvarado's was not a safe place. Now, when I was at Brett Rohloffs, well, I did the smart thing and I did record those situations. In some of the videos that I made at Shannon's, you can hear some noises in the background, but I did let them know when I was getting ready to make a video so that they would know to be quiet. And that was an agreement that was made. It's not like I'm telling them what to do in their own house. I'm having to work around their schedules, just like with Miss Mandy Singer. With all of these people, I do have to work around their schedules and their noises and so on and so forth. And that's important. Let's see. He also types, so I hope and pray you live a long, long life and get to Waller in all its glorious joy. Live long and prosper or suffer, I really don't care because I'll be fine regardless. And won't give this any more thought. Fuck off forever. Alright. Cool, Brad. That's alright. Now, of course, him not giving it any more thought, he did come on here 5 hours ago and type some more, but we haven't scrolled down that far yet. I typed to Rick McCormack 5 hours ago. Oh wait, no. Rick McCormack here. 5 hours ago typed, you just proved my point, Sean. You're nice to Miss Mandy or whoever you're leeching off of today. Leeching. I got my disability back, Rick. So I'm not having to depend on others for that entirely. That's one of the techniques and tactics used by police. When they lock you up, and they lock you up for longer than 30 days, you lose everything and you have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get it back. Now, Shannon Alvarado was going to help me with that. And, of course, Rick McCormack was supposed to be the computer expert who was going to help me with that, but did he ever? No. To my knowledge and recollection, he never even touched my computer, which that doesn't make him a bad person. And it says, whoever you're leeching off of today, but as soon as you move on, you will betray her just like you did everyone else who has made the mistake of helping you. No, 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 no. See, that's the point right there. The great thing about Mandy is that she's honest. When addicts finally get away from whatever their addiction is, they tend to be more honest about it. Some people want to hide the fact that they were addicts. They want to start over a brand new, fresh life with new friends and all of that, which is good. But it's not easy. And for people that want to hide the fact that they were drug addicts at one point, well, that is their choice and that is their decision. But transparency is important. Showing the whole truth is important. And of course, with Miss Mandy, since I have my own money, and I was actually able to obviously rent a hotel room with my money, which I could not have done last night. Oh my God. We'll get into that situation later as well. Let's see, just like you did to everyone else who made the mistake of helping you. Well, did they really help me? Did they actually look at the evidence? Did they actually speak up about what they saw? Did they write police reports? Did they go in with me to turn those things in for my own safety? Now, obviously, in California, these people aren't going to be able to go in with me to turn anything in, but they are able to make police reports from wherever they happen to be. I've looked that up, actually. It says no one is perfect. Absolutely, Rick. Exactly. You are not perfect. I am not perfect. Brett is not perfect. Shannon is not perfect. Obviously, there is no perfect situation. But also, here, I don't have to listen to people screaming. I can make a video right now. When I was over at Mandy's for the last few days because of things that were unforeseen. Obviously, with the kids in the house, it's going to be difficult for me to be able to make a video and to be able to talk about the things that I need to talk about. And also, it makes it difficult for Mandy to actually sit down and look at this stuff. Does that make her a bad person? No. But also, her not being able to look at it. You know, we're talking about little kids versus, you know, kids who are old enough to understand what's going on and old enough to follow instructions. Now, I'd go into the parental classes that they're supposed to have here but don't and explain that to you, but that's not a part of this video. It says no one is perfect, and since they're not perfect, you use whatever flaws they may have as an excuse to publicly trash them. Nope. Telling the truth is not publicly trashing them. They had their chance. They had their opportunity. Now, there's obviously the conversation with Chelsea that I had that's on here, and for a good 40 minutes, she's saying it won't do any good, it won't do any good, it won't do any good, it won't do any good. You're right, it won't do any good if you don't speak up. Just like Shannon Alvarado, it won't do any good. Oh, well, I can't do it from here, and so on and so forth. Well, obviously, that is not the case. And I will show you the paperwork on that probably in a few videos. I have a lot to go through, and I have a lot to print off, and I have to go get the printer and bring it over here and get that all set up, but we'll make it work. It said no good deed goes unpunished when it comes to Sean. No good deed goes unpunished at all. We live in a horrible world. It says he has no loyalty. Oh, I absolutely do. Loyalty above all else except honor. But he types he has no loyalty, integrity, or gratitude. No, I absolutely was grateful for everything these people did. Absolutely. But then again, why did I go to these places? What help did these people offer? And of course, did they provide that help? And Rick also types, he will not stop until everyone else is as miserable as he is, because it's easier to blame everyone else than take personal responsibility like an adult human being. Shannon Alvarado could take personal responsibility for her alcoholism and how it affects those around her. Instead, she has Rick do it for her. And that's one of the important things about recording it. See, when I was at Shannon's, I was trying to be nice. I was trying to believe that eventually she was going to keep her word. Eventually she was going to be able to. But you know what? After 2 weeks of being there and her and Rick going through this stuff night after night after night, oh my God, yes, I had a fucking meltdown. And I'd rather be dead than have a meltdown. Now, of course, Mandy does take personal responsibility, and so do I. I wrote, I take personal responsibility for everything I do. I do not take responsibility for you and Shannon's incessant screaming. Like when she went off for almost a week every night over 15 minutes she couldn't account for in your Uber drive time. It was an abusive environment no matter who is being abused. Shannon's drinking and Brett's meth use are two very important factors that both failed to mention. You are actually proving you are a narcissist. You want to put your actions onto me because I showed the truth. Also, I want to thank Shannon for having so much pot lying around. It helped me to cope with your constant arguing and yelling and screaming. That's right, folks. I do smoke pot. Not always. But, of course, in an abusive situation where I'm pretty well stuck because I'm waiting on Graham to keep his word, and when you give somebody money so that they can do something for you, and then it takes them forever to do it, and you're stuck in that situation, it's very scary. And he did finally send it, and Shannon Alvarado, in the course of 4.5 hours, was able to take 30 pictures and send them to me, which is great. Of course, Juan Santana was able to take, I want to say, 2,000 to 3,000, and he did that over the course of a day and a half. Like, it's actual work. That's why I was willing to pay people to actually help me. That's not easy to do, though, when people keep taking your money. Now, Shannon Alvarado and Rick McCormack, they didn't take my money. It says, let's see, and unlike Shannon and Brett, at least Mandy admits her faults and her circumstances and how they affect those around her. Shannon doesn't hit her kids. She is not physically violent. You, however, were physically violent toward her daughter. Shannon Alvarado kicked Rick out of the house for choking her. Not choking Shannon, but for putting his hands around Shannon's daughter's neck. Now, whether or not he was squeezing or not, it looked like it. I was there, Shannon was there, and it was not okay. This is an at-risk adult who doesn't have a voice to defend herself. And Shannon was pissed, rightfully so. I also typed, I don't accuse Shannon for what you did, but I do admit that your actions affected both Shannon and her daughter. At least there was a wonderful dog there to comfort me. And that's true. In most of these places, there were dogs, and the dogs made everything just a little bit better. Brett Roloff, 5 hours ago. Now, mind you, this is the guy who is saying not to harass him, and then he's getting on here and obviously harassing me. He doesn't like the truth out there. Most people don't. And, of course, with Brett, I recorded the actual situations and posted them up, which is great. He types, my drug use was to keep me sane with the stress of a psycho girlfriend and keeping a grown man who was leeching off me up in a nice house. So yes, I needed drugs, or I would have did the same thing Nat did to get away from your bullshit antics. See, this is a guy who claims that he loved me, or at least did. And of course, he blames me for his drug use. He blames me for his drug dealing. Blames me. Meanwhile, he was on drugs when I got there. He had meth when I got there. It's not like I got there and he was like, oh man, I better go get some meth because Sean's here and I can't handle it. No, I had to be subservient and quiet. And eventually, with all of this screaming, yes, I have a meltdown over it. Now, the things that Brett Roloff said that he was going to do, he said he was going to help go through my evidence, and by go through it, I'm not talking about organizing it by pile, and then reorganizing it into more piles, and reorganizing it into even more piles, which at least 2 people did. One of them is a verified tweaker, and the other one I'm not sure about. Now, obviously, here he is, textbook addict, blaming other people for his choices. It's funny how these folks want to accuse me of not taking personal responsibility. I do. I did light a fire at Ken and Leah's. I did admit to it. I also pled guilty to it, despite the fact that it didn't happen where they claimed it happened. See, they don't live in Sheridan, they live in Inglewood. Let's see, it also says, let's see, Rick McCormack, 4 hours ago. He types, funny how you had nothing but nice things to say about me until I called you out for bad-mouthing Shannon on the internet. Well, I don't have very many nice things to say about him. I do admit that the things that they were screaming about nightly was mostly Shannon getting drunk and wanting attention, as most addicts do. Now, the difference is it attention for attention's sake, or is it attention for something that you need people to look at? When I was at Tabitha Michelle Cook's in Longmont, Colorado, her baby's daddy, his name is Joshua Eichelberger, was drunk pretty much the whole time and screaming and yelling and verbally abusive towards children. Now, if you listen to the conversations between me and Tabitha, she admits that. I didn't use not Rick. See, obviously I'm talking about Rick McCormack, and I'm also talking about Joshua Eichelberger. Now, Graham was supposed to be helping me to actually look at this stuff. Obviously not this here, because this is from today and yesterday, but all of the massive piles of evidence that I had at that point in time. And of course, every time that he would, well, then Joshua Eichelberger has some emergency, some imagined emergency that he needs Graham for. Mostly he just wanted Graham to come hang out with him. And of course, I'm being told if I buy this, or I buy that, or I get this, or I get that, then lo and behold, they'll help me. And I bought what they wanted, and they still didn't help. So, meanwhile, these people are telling me, well, the government's supposed to do this, and you can call this place, and you can call that place. I've called them. I got a whole YouTube full of calling those places. If those places did any good, I wouldn't have had to go to Brett Rohloffs. I wouldn't have had to go to Shannon Alvarado's. But meanwhile, these people offered to help. They invited me to their households. He also typed, you went from claiming that Shannon was abusing me to claiming that Shannon was abusing me and that I'm abusing her daughter. That only came up after I pissed you off by defending Shannon and telling you that I'm not her victim. Then and only then did you start making me out to be a bad guy. He wasn't a bad guy. Shannon Alvarado was the one getting drunk and starting these fights. I could call them arguments, but as loud as they were, I'm surprised the cops weren't called. Let's see. It also says, also our house was so terrible that you came back a second time. I did. I absolutely did. I needed Shannon Alvarado's help. She gave me an open invitation to go back anytime I wanted. And of course, well, there's a video on here about that where she says that, and then afterwards I explain, you know what, chances are pretty good that if I go back, Rick McCormack is going to throw a fucking tantrum. And of course, he did. When I was able to get there, he did throw a fucking tantrum. And this situation is a big giant mess. It has to do with the situation with Ryan Ingersoll and the way that I was treated there, and that's the thing about me not having someone in my corner. Now, of course, Ryan Ingersoll, even with her severe alcoholism, she admitted that. She also admitted the situation that she had claimed at the time was not the truth, but she's dead now, so we can't go back in time and change that, can we? He types, Shannon is such a terrible person that she gave you a second chance despite everything you had said about her. Shannon is not a terrible person. Most of these people are not terrible persons. Rick McCormack is a terrible person. And I don't mind saying that at all. It's called equality. If he's going to pretend that I'm a monster after yelling pretty much the whole time I was there with Shannon, That's not true. During the day, things were nice. During the day, Shannon was sober. So not the whole time I was there. Also, I gave them plenty of chances as well. But I was also in a desperate situation. I desperately needed a place that I could sit down and work on that stuff and actually have help. And Shannon Alvarado was all gung-ho until it actually came to doing it. Then she's too drunk to do so. That doesn't work. Let's see. He typed, I am such a violent person that while you stayed with us, I made you a barbecue pork sandwich. Oh my God. So making a barbecue pork sandwich makes it okay to choke Shannon Alvarado's daughter? No. He also types, after every horrible thing you said about us, you mean the truth? No problem. He typed, after every horrible thing you said about us, when I saw you again, I was such a childish, violent, narcissistic, out of control Neanderthal that I didn't lay a finger on you and instead gave you my delicious pork meat that you greedily shoved down your throat. So, if he gave me a sandwich and I ate it, that's greedy? No. When I got there, Rick kept his mouth shut the whole time. He wasn't going to open his mouth around me, and rightfully so. He also typed, how did you survive such awful conditions, you courageous and intrepid man? Or maybe you're just full of shit, who knows? Well, I must be full of shit. I clogged the hell out of his toilet. And how does his delicious pork meat, how does eating a sandwich that, by the way, he did bitch about me eating his sandwich. He was a fucking asshole about that. And he did say a lot of things under his breath. So not exactly under his breath. Loud enough that it could be heard, but obviously not directed at me, not talking directly to me. So I typed, telling the truth isn't bad-mouthing, and you verified the things I said were true. Keep typing. It will help me in court. Rick McCormack 4 hours ago types, no, Sean, your narrative doesn't fit the facts. Anyone can verify what I said by watching your own videos, if you don't delete them like a coward. I don't delete them. They stay up. Lots of people want my videos down. They hate that the truth is up here. They hate that the way that they treated me is up here. Now, did Shannon Alvarado ever actually sit down with me to go through this stuff and help? No, she didn't actually ever stop and sit down and go through it with me. She took 30 pictures. I can count them actually. I'll go through and do that possibly for you in a bit and maybe even read those, but that'll be time consuming. He types, if you don't delete them like a coward, so you're not telling the truth. You know you're not. I know you're not. I just blew giant holes in your entire narrative, and you're still strutting around like that didn't just happen. Narcissists try to ignore someone who has wronged them for 3 years. Violent abusers don't welcome someone who wronged them back into their home a second time and make them food. Well, it's not his home, and I didn't say that Shannon was a violent abuser. Rick McCormack, on the other hand, was. He also wants to, in this, try to pretend like I'm claiming he was physically abusive towards me. No, he wasn't. The screaming and shouting that was going on there wasn't towards me. Rick McCormack and Shannon Alvarado, when they were screaming, it was back and forth between them. Now, when Shannon did actually have an issue was when I called her out on her drinking, how it was affecting me, and the fact that she wasn't helping, she was too busy getting drunk. He also typed, I bet if someone gave you $1 million, you would whine on the internet about all the taxes you have to pay, and then talk about a time you saw that person being less than perfect and virtuous, because truth. None of us are perfect. Admitting our faults is extremely important. Now, Shannon Alvarado was involved in many, many, many situations, and she needed to write it down. Meanwhile, she's drunk. Her brain is deprived of oxygen when she's been drinking. So then she wants to tell me, can you remember? Well, I probably could. I could probably go back through and find some of it. But I needed Shannon Alvarado to speak up. Because see, although Shannon Alvarado is an addict and I'm not, she's drinking and I'm not, people are more likely to listen to her than to me. He also typed, you don't get to violate people's trust and good faith. You mean my trust and good faith. I trusted Shannon Alvarado to tell the truth. I trusted Shannon Alvarado to keep her word, to look at that stuff with me. Every single night she claimed she was gonna. Do you have any idea how difficult it is when you need that person's help? You're there for the help that they promised to give you, and she just simply can't because she's too drunk. Oh my God. You don't get to violate people's trust and good faith over and over again and still claim to be the one who stands for truth and integrity. You have none, and that's why your life has turned out the way it has. The person who has failed to help you the most is the one you see in the mirror every day. And there again, see, I had to depend on these people because I'm not allowed to do these things for myself. I am not allowed to go in by myself and turn in a police report and have anything actually done about it. After what happened to Natalie, I had to deal with nut jobs like Shannon Alvarado, and she is a fucking nut job. Oh my God, this is a woman who has a Nazi uniform hanging up in her closet and felt that me, who obviously, you see the curls, maybe I shaved them off. Yeah, I have Hebrew ancestry. This isn't something I want to look at. This is something that's scaring me that she even owns it. Why would she be so interested in Nazis that she would buy a Nazi uniform? Oh my God, no. And I typed Rick McCormack, again, you are proving I told the truth from the start. Thank you for typing. I also typed, going out of your way to be insulting and change the subject doesn't change the fact that you are showing exactly the mentality that abusers and addicts have. You can't do anything wrong. You are perfect. The abusive environment must not have existed because the great Messiah Rick McCormack and his perfect life say so. Nope, doesn't detract from the fact that I was misled by Shannon, who could not keep her word because she was drunk. Then she blames her nonverbal daughter, and of course the videos where after I left and we were having arguments about that, yes, it was her and Rick screaming, not her daughter, that was the problem. Matter of fact, most of the problems with her daughter were over Shannon Alvarado getting drunk and arguing with Rick. That's not saying that all of her issues are because of that, but those are very much triggers. It is a very scary thing to listen to that. Let's see. I also typed, like Brett blaming me and Amber for his meth use. Textbook addicts. You weren't a bully to me until I spoke out. That doesn't mean you and Shannon's abuse didn't exist towards each other or towards the kids. Now, their verbal abuse towards each other was quite frequent, and as far as Rick and him putting his hands on Shannon's daughter in a way that is not acceptable, Rick only did that twice, I believe. I also typed, you pretending I'm a bad person for speaking out doesn't make you a decent person. You can't blow holes in the truth. It sucked being stuck at Shannon's while waiting on Graham to send my evidence. It's not your fault it took so long to send it. And yeah, that's what I was waiting on. As soon as it got there, well, I was hoping that Shannon would at least try to be sober. No, not capable. Rick McCormack 2 hours ago types, and now you're lying about what I said in this very thread. I said that we are not perfect. Well, that's not a lie. See, When I was being sarcastic at him, just like him being sarcastic at me, it's sarcasm. That's right. If you want to be a sarcastic ass at me, I will be a sarcastic ass back. No problem. No issues there whatsoever. So is it a lie, or is it satire towards an asshole? Mind you, I admit to being an asshole. It says, now you're lying, he typed, now you're lying about what I said in this very thread. I said that we are not perfect and our minor flaws do not give you license to betray our trust and lie about us on a public forum. Well, that's the thing, is that it is not a lie. Those things are true, and that's very important to note. Now, because of her alcoholism, and because I said something about her alcoholism, she wanted to fucking flip her shit. No problem. And like most women in the United States, she will hide behind a man. We're all used to that. We really are. A woman does something screwed up, and then she plays victim, and it's fine and dandy, isn't it? Now, meanwhile, I'm not saying that Shannon Alvarado is a horrible person for drinking. She's allowed. It's her house, just like with Missy Bruce. You know, it was her off time. She's allowed to drink. It's the fact that instead of acknowledging the fact that she has been drinking and maybe these things should be taken care of when she's sober, when I said something about her being sober, she wanted to flip her shit. Well, that's not my decision. It's not my decision for people who are drinking to become volatile, especially when you say something about their drinking. Or could you possibly call me when you're sober? Let's see. He also types, I'm not blowing holes in the truth. He's right. He's not blowing holes in the truth. He typed, I'm blowing holes in your fictional story. Well, that's the thing, is that when you've got evidence, it's not fiction. People pretending that it's fiction doesn't make it fiction. And that's where many people's issues are. They don't want to admit where their flaws are. Now here, he's playing perfect. Playing perfect. Nothing that ever happened to Shannon Alvarado's could ever have anything to do with them screaming and shouting or their alcoholism. Meanwhile, yes, I admitted to the things where, well, they were true. You know what? There is a good possibility that it was my turds that clogged that toilet at least once. Now, Rick trying to plunge the toilet, great. If you think I did it, ask me to do it. Ask me. Say, hey, Sean, you clogged the toilet. Could you go plunge it? Absolutely I can. That is not a problem. Let's see. Where are we at? He types, I'm blowing holes in your fictional story. What you've said about us has as much to do with the truth as Peppa Pig has to do with astrophysics. And the only thing you have to respond to me with is the same thing you've said again and again for 3 years like a skipping record. Well, that's because it's true. That's because it did affect me, and it's because Shannon Alvarado was too drunk to help how she said she would. And she was involved in many of these situations. Like I said, not only did Shannon Alvarado help me in many other ways, but I admitted to the help that she gave me in those situations. All throughout my videos, you get to hear me talking about Shannon Alvarado and the wonderful things that she had done. But when I was at her house, obviously, she didn't keep her word to do the things that she said that she would. And obviously, it is not my choice or my decision. Now, obviously over there at Mandy's, with her having family issues that she has to take care of that were dropped on her basically at the last minute, she's not able to help me. Now, it's not because she's on drugs. It's not because she's drinking, because she's not on drugs and she's not drinking. It's because of very specific issues. very specific issues that have to do with her family, and that does need to come first. Alcohol doesn't, and neither does meth. He also types, as long as you keep lying about my family and I and everyone else who earnestly tried to help you, I'm going to find creative ways to insult you while speaking out about the truth of how you use people and betray them after you're done with them. That's the problem with being in a subservient environment. While you're there, when you are dependent upon those people to keep their word, and you need that evidence, and you have to depend on others and rely on others to keep their word so that you can do what you need to do, and these people aren't keeping their words, like Graham not keeping his word to send it out. He said, I'll send it out on Friday. I got on the bus on Thursday. He was supposed to send it out the next day. When I got to Shannon Alvarado's, now mind you, I did go there twice. The first time I went there, and the second time I was stuck at the bus station for like 3 days. It sucked. And Shannon wanted to tell me that Rick wasn't okay with this and Rick wasn't okay with that. Well, fine. If Rick's not okay with it, I will find another place to go. So Brandon Ratner paid for me to have a ticket to go from Los Angeles, California, all the way to Tennessee. See, lots of people helped me. They helped me in lots of different ways, but the one thing they didn't do is write it down and speak out. Major issue. When they said that they would take a look at it, said that they would go to court, obviously with Brandon Ratner, the things that he said that he could do, that he ditched me to chase vagina, well, that isn't my choice, not my fault, not my decision, but it did happen. Now, he spent that money for me to go see Brett Rohloff, did he not? And Brett Rohloff had invited me there, so of course, and he admits it, of course I go to Brett Rohloff's and I get there and, yeah, meth. This is a guy I knew was an alcoholic, and it was scary for me even considering going there, but also he's somebody I love, he's somebody that I care about, and down on Pearl Street things were a lot different. Let's see. So here he says, as long as you keep lying about my family and everyone else who earnestly tried to help you, I'm going to find creative ways to insult you while speaking out about the truth of how you use people and betray them after you're done with them. You are in the situation you were in because you don't know how to build and maintain long-term bonds of sentiment with people so you can take part in a stable and supportive social structure. Well, you should have known me before Natalie was killed, bud. It also says it's not because everyone else is a big, stupid, meanie face to you. It's you. Well, again, through all of this, I've admitted the things that I've done wrong. I've also admitted the things that I've done that are illegal. My whole Facebook, and, well, mostly my YouTube channel is full of it. And I typed, Rick McCormack, you are angry. I told the truth. I'm angry you and Shannon lied to me and misled the situation. Not my fault, you can't tell the truth. Now, in all of these situations, when there was screaming and shouting and hooting and hollering and all this other stuff going on, I turned off the camera. Obviously, it's not going to be to my benefit to have the camera on when people are screaming and hooting and hollering and shouting in the background. It also distracts me. Now here, obviously, there's no children distracting me. There's no adults distracting me. It's just me. Anyway, I typed to Rick, you were angry I told the truth, and I'm angry you and Shannon lied to me and misled the situation. Not my fault, you can't tell the truth. Now that's the problem with not recording every single thing from day one. I should have recorded every single thing at Shannon Alvarado's. And I should have recorded every single thing at Brett Rohloff's. I didn't, because I didn't have a lot of space. When you don't have a lot of space, and all of your electronics are full, you end up in a very screwed up situation. Now, this could all very easily be taken care of by Shannon Alvarado admitting that she was drinking every night and admitting, well, things that we all know. When you're drinking, oxygen in your brain is not getting to your brain in an effective manner. That's why you get buzzed and get drunk and do stupid shit.